Love. It has been the topic of numerous books, movies, and banger songs. But what is love? In this episode, we will look into it from different perspectives.
Hello everyone, this is Wandering Tati. As we just passed Valentine's Day, I thought, why not delve into the topic of love? What is it? What is it not? What qualities should it possess? All of us might have wondered at some point in our lives, as did many philosophers. For instance, Aristotle categorized love into three types: eros, or romantic or passionate love; agape, which is universal love or goodwill; and philia, which is friendship. He was of the idea that love could foster virtuous and ethical behavior. In his work Symposium, Plato presents a concept we've all probably heard about, that of Platonic love, which emphasizes the intellectual and spiritual aspects of love rather than physical attraction. Nietzsche, on the other hand, had a highly critical view of traditional notions of love, considering them as expressions of power dynamics and societal norms. Romantic comedies can be fun to watch, but should not be taken too seriously, as they would usually be detrimental to real-life relationships. I think they are slowly changing now, but some of its core ideas still resonate with some people. They create this completely absurd and fairy tale-like idea of what a relationship should be.
No, it's not a good thing that someone lives for you and nothing else. It's not romantic when someone does not take no for an answer and insists relentlessly for you to go out with them. It's not a good thing that someone is possessive and jealous and does not want you to interact with anyone else.
In rom-coms, conflicts are often resolved within a really short time and often involving grand gestures. This portrayal can undermine the reality of actual challenges in relationships, which may require time to find solutions. Healthy relationships require understanding, patience, communication, and the recognition that love is often more complex and nuanced than what it is portrayed on the screen. Some of the other points of this video can be found plenty in rom-coms. I would like for you to let me know in the comments which examples you can come up with each of these. A brief example of what I think love actually is.
This will sound totally random, but this section contains spoilers for the second season of Vinland Saga.
Einar. He just so happens to impersonate perfectly what I think love should be all about. Someone who would risk everything and go to any lengths so that the person he loves would just sleep with some other guy. Yes, exactly that. I don't think love is something you demand. It's simply something you give. No strings attached, no conditions, no reciprocity needed. If you love someone, you want nothing more than their happiness, even if it is away from you. In fact, Kierkegaard's writing on love often revolved around the idea of self-sacrifice and the importance of choosing to love unconditionally. Virtue ethicists like Aristotle might consider the act of sacrificing one's own happiness for the well-being of a loved one as an expression of virtues like compassion, selflessness, and empathy. Now let's discuss a couple of unhealthy aspects of relationships. First, possessiveness. Existentialist philosophers like Simone de Beauvoir and Sartre might highlight the importance of freedom and authenticity in relationships, and thus may conclude that possessiveness undermines the autonomy of each individual and prevents a genuine connection. Another aspect that usually goes hand in hand with possessiveness is that of jealousy. The Stoic philosopher Seneca stressed the negative effects of jealousy on one's own well-being. He believed that jealousy arises from a lack of inner tranquility and self-control, and that we should strive to eliminate such destructive emotions. Erich Fromm, who developed the concept of mature love, actually warned against possessive love, where one partner seeks to control the other. He believed that genuine love is characterized by mutual respect, understanding, and allowing each other to grow and develop as individuals. On the topic of demands, we can talk about the good old internet nice guys. Love is definitely not about nice guys or girls or people thinking that because they opened the door for you and treated you with the most basic human decency and some speck of kindness, somehow you owe them something.
In case you haven't heard, let me tell you that if you were nice to someone only for them to go out with you, you are not actually nice. Neither do you love that person, because if you did, you would want to do nice things for them. That's it. Just because you want them to smile, not because you want them to give you anything in return.
You know, Kant would definitely say to nice guys. His philosophy emphasizes the importance of treating individuals as ends in themselves rather than means to an end. Nice guys who expect something in return for their kindness might be seen as treating others as means, only to fulfill their own selfish desires.
People who love you cannot and do not have to read your mind. If you want something, you should say it clearly. You cannot expect them to just know. They are not mind readers, and the fact that they are not doesn't mean that they don't love you. If you are angry at them, or didn't like something they did, or would like them to do something for you, you have to put it into words. Something I've read that made sense to me is that we don't need a partner to always know what we want, but we definitely need to feel heard when we say what we want. And I think that's a perfectly reasonable position to hold. In the same article, they mentioned that you can make a list of what your expectations are in terms of a romantic partner, and then read it again and differentiate between those that are realistic and those that are not. And a good approach to do this, they say, is by considering whether you would be able to fulfill those yourself. If you find that you cannot, then it is too much to ask of another person. Nietzsche was critical of the idea of seeking completion through another person.
He believed in the importance of self-reliance and personal growth. Unrealistic expectations can hinder personal development and prevent individuals from achieving their full potential.
Erich Fromm emphasized the need for love to be an active and continuous effort. Unrealistic expectations may set back genuine efforts to build and nurture a relationship, leading to disappointment when the initial infatuation fades. Can we just stop it with that love at first sight thing? You just happen to find the person attractive, that's all. For all you know, that person might be a white supremacist or eat pizza with pineapple on top. All things equally bad.
But seriously, that thing about seeing someone from across the room and saying, "I will marry that person," is ridiculous. I grant you that it might have worked on some occasions, but it seems like a survivor bias situation to me. We only hear those stories from couples who actually ended up getting along well.
But at that first moment, you haven't even had one conversation with them. I would argue actually that even if you did have a conversation with them and think that it was great, no one ever shows their true absolute colors when you've just met them. It takes a while for all of us to take down our social masks and start acting like ourselves. So it is reasonable to give it some time, at least before saying things like, "This is the one for me." Plato might have been partially responsible for this notion.
His philosophy suggests that love at first sight might be the instance of recognizing a soulmate or a person who complements our own characteristics. Aristotle might view love at first sight more skeptically, though. He puts emphasis on the importance of getting to know someone's virtues and flaws before forming a deep emotional connection. Immanuel Kant might argue that love at first sight is rooted in sensual or physical attraction, which he would see as inferior to a rational and moral connection.
Also, another thought I will throw out there. We don't need a romantic relationship in order for our lives to be happy and have meaning. There, I said it. It is absolutely fine if you want to be single. Or even if you don't want to but happen to be. You could still have a fulfilling and wonderful life, filled with hobbies, friends, family, pets, travels, a job that you're passionate about, books, or whatever else it is that makes you happy.
You don't have to embark yourself in a relationship just because you feel it's an obligation, or some people might look down on you, or because of the fear of loneliness. Existentialist philosophers might argue that individuals should not define their worth solely based on their relationships or the need for a partner. According to existentialism, people have the freedom to create their own meaning and identity, and relying on a romantic partner to define oneself could lead to an unhealthy dependence. And And if you want to go to the extreme, we can consider Buddhism, which accentuates the importance of cultivating inner contentment and non-attachment. From this viewpoint, the concept of needing a partner might be seen as a form of attachment that could lead to suffering if the relationship does not meet one's expectations. My humble advice would be to have a partner if that person brings color into your life, if you genuinely want to spend time with them and are happy to make plans and share your life with that person. Otherwise, I would just say, don't. Just don't. You don't have to. Another thing that worries me deeply is when people say that a partner should not be your friend. I swear I don't understand what they are saying.
Can you live with someone but not actually like spending time with them? That sounds completely absurd to me.
I think that your significant other has to be your friend. I would argue that they should be your best friend, in fact. It should be someone that, if by some weird magic all attraction would disappear from the world, you would still want to have the life you have with them. Attraction is just a bonus, and some people might not feel it towards anyone, but still might want to be in a relationship. Aristotle, in fact, considered friendship to be the highest form of human relationship. He believed that true friendship was based on virtue and mutual respect. So in romantic relationships, having a foundation of friendship could lead to a deeper and more enduring connection, as both partners share common values and goals. The thing that romantic stories sometimes do is portray love as this magical solution to all problems. This might lead people to believe that a relationship would solve all their personal issues, which might result in unrealistic expectations and its consequent disappointment. I kind of blame Plato for this one. In Symposium, he presents the idea of soulmates being two halves of the same whole, destined to be together.
Talk about high expectations and dependency.
I don't believe your loved one has to be the person to save you, or that you are incomplete without them. That is way too much responsibility to put on someone's shoulders. It's like your whole happiness relies on this person, and that is too much for anyone to bear. I'm not saying that a person who loves you cannot save your life in occasions, but as a general rule, it's too much to ask of someone. For sure, they should worry about your well-being and care for you and help and support you in any way they can. But they cannot protect you from everything, nor can they be a hero at all times. They are only human, just like you. And the final thought about this is that love actually is all around.
Sorry, I had to say it.
But really, even for someone like me who might be a bit cynical about people sometimes, I can see it. Love comes in a variety of forms. The way parents care for and make sacrifices for their children, friends who offer a helping hand and a listening ear during challenging times, strangers who make our days brighter with their kindness, pets who react with pure joy to our presence, people who volunteer to make someone else's life a bit easier, those who help others selflessly, those who would risk their lives for others, and so on. I'm sure you can find many other examples as well. Anyway, those are my 2 cents on this topic. I've been thinking about this for quite some time, so I wanted to sum up my thoughts while considering some philosophers' insights about the nature of love. It would be wonderful to hear many different perspectives on this.
Just please leave your messages disagreeing in a loving way.
I wish you all exactly the kind of love that you need in your life. If you found the video interesting, please remember to like, share and subscribe to support the channel. Anyway, thanks a lot for watching. Until next time!